Masisira.
Ay, salamat.
Totoo yan.
Magandang tanghali po. Well, we have arrived, di ba? Dumating tayo sa dulo ng biyahe. The only defense that I can give to you for anything that I have said to you in the last 2 days and what I will say to you now is that none of it came out of the book. That everything that I have said to you and tried to teach you has come from the apoi. It is from the apoi of buhay, from the fire of life, having been tested by one man and one woman. The evidence being yung lakas ng Panginoon nagbabatay sa aming dalawa. For these 53 years. I cannot make any apologize to any of you kung nasaktan ka. If you've been offended by what I've said, if you have stumbled at anything that I've said, mula sa aking puso hanggang sa iyong puso, from my heart to your heart. As I mentioned last night, it's simply been one beggar telling another beggar where he has found bread. I know what the Bible says. Subok na. The promises of God, the challenges of God. I speak of them because God has been so gracious to us. I'm not bragging, please, please. I'm not saying that the marriage that God has given Faye and me is the greatest that ever has been. I'm simply saying, subok na, we have tested what God said would be, and we have found it to be true. We have found it to be true. And that's why I offer it to you. Because I've heard so many times this saying, well, Charlie, I know what the Bible said. Ngunit, I don't know if it will work for us. Maaari tama sa inyong dalawa ni Faye, pero hindi ko alam kung tama sa aming bahay. If it will work for us, if it will be true for us as it has been for you. And so all I want to do today in this closing time is try to offer some suggestions on making it work. If the last 2 days has appeared to you to be theoretical, I want to talk today about making it work so that when I read Genesis 2:24, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. And you can say, God, I accept that challenge. I accept that as your plan. I accept that as your direction, regardless many times we slide back and forth in our relationship. Please remember, never forget that you are now living in AD. You're not living in BC. In BC, there was no choice but contract. But now, in AD, after Christ, posibilidad ng kasunduan, the possibility of living in covenant, that is the reality of the hour. That's where God is. Shall I repeat it? God is not in contract work. He's not a contractor. He's in mediation. And He mediates covenants. To be sure, it is a process. You begin somewhere and you pick it up from that place. Apollo community faith, because we discovered it in the very beginning. And so God has been working this progressively with us. Some of you, maybe you've been married for 10 years, or 20 years, or 30 years. But I say to you that God will begin the process with you today. If you allow Him, God will begin this process and develop it out and work it out for you. So you become free. Dinakatala is a contract. But Malaya sa iyong kaugnayan. So that you live with your husband, you live with your wife in unqualified acceptance. Tinatanggap ka nila. They receive you just as you are, because Jesus received them just as they were. You know the old hymn, just as I am without one plea. That becomes reality. Please be aware that God is working in us with how He has gifted us to meet the needs. In that Madalas, we are switching sides, we are switching roles, we are changing roles. Because our needs, I talked to you for a bit last night, and you tried to explore this some more about the right brain and the left brain. You see, it's okay for me to recognize and for Faye to recognize that sometimes I am not coming from the mechanical, organized left brain of the male, but I am approaching her now from the right side, from the side of emotion and feeling. Now, you see, that means when I move to the right side of my brain, I'm apt to cry. Most women don't want to hear their husbands cry. They don't want to see their husbands crying. Kasi macho ang image natin. Diba? We live in a macho world. Big boys don't cry. We even tell our children, kung lalaki, hey, big boys don't cry. If you live by that in your marriage, sir, you're as crazy as a loon. You are dumb, you're stupid, you're silly. If you are living palagi, if you're living palagi in the left side, or you have to be the macho man and control, and you have to control everything, and you have to say what's going to happen, and you know what the results is going to be. You see, because dynamically in the flux of life is how can you be one and the same person? And this is something that Faye and I deal with often as we change, you know, because sometimes Faye is my lover. Asawa ko yan. Pero sa ibang panahon, siya ang aking kaaway. It's the same person. It's the same woman. It's the same woman. And sometimes she's my lover. Sometimes she's my enemy. Sometimes she is my fellow spirit. Kasama ko sa pananampalataya. We are partners in faith. Pero sometimes siya ang manunukso. Sometimes she is tempting me to forget about this and to itabi muna. Sometimes siya ang prayer partner ko. Kasama ko sa panalangin. Pero sa kabila, siya ang aking hukom.